Hey everyone, welcome to the Bold and Beautiful 24. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Bold and Beautiful, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in.
At the Cliff House, the afternoon sunlight hit the glass walls with an almost mocking brightness, cutting across the living room like a cruel spotlight on a stage that no one wanted to be in. Luna sat on the edge of the white leather sofa, her hands trembling, the silence around her thick enough to make her dizzy. Her eyes darted toward the door every few seconds, waiting, hoping, for someone to come back in and tell her that what she just heard was a mistake, that Bridget had misspoken, that somehow the universe had pressed the wrong button. But the words had already been said, clear and clinical. The paternity test confirms that Will Spencer is not the father of Luna Nozawa's child. It was Bridget's voice, steady and professional, but her eyes had flickered, just for a fraction of a second, toward Katie, and that flicker told Luna everything. Something was wrong. Something was being hidden. And as soon as Bridget turned away, Luna's pulse had started to pound so loud she could barely hear the rest of what was said. Now hours later, Luna couldn't breathe. She'd run from the Forrester lab, ignoring everyone calling after her, the smell of antiseptic and the sound of her own heels on the tile echoing behind her like ghosts. She didn't know where else to go, so she'd ended up at Bill Spencer's mansion, where it all began, where Will's laughter used to echo through the halls when she'd come by with designs or samples from Forrester. The man she once despised had somehow become her lifeline, and now he was the only one she thought could fix this. She didn't care about reputations, money, or even safety anymore. She just needed someone to believe her. When Bill walked in, he looked exhausted but composed, his usual confidence dimmed by days of chaos. "Luna," he said, his voice low but sharp, the way it always got when he didn't know what was coming next. She stood up so fast she almost tripped. Her eyes were red, makeup smeared, her blouse wrinkled, her whole body shaking like a wire stretched too tight. "Bill," she lied. Luna said, her voice cracking. "Bridget," she lied about the test results. Bill's brow furrowed. He set down the folder he'd been carrying and slowly approached her, trying to read her face. "Luna, what are you talking about? Bridget doesn't lie about medical results. You know that." He tried to sound calm, rational, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes too. He'd seen enough lies in his life to know how to spot them, and Luna didn't look like a woman making things up. She looked destroyed. "I swear to you," Luna said, her hands pressed to her chest as if she were trying to keep her heart from breaking out of her ribs. "It's Will's baby. It has to be. Bridget changed the results, I know she did. I saw her face. I saw the way she looked at Katie. Please, Bill, you have to believe me. She said I was lying, that I was trying to trap Will. But I'm not. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want to get pregnant, I didn't want any of this, but it happened. And now they're trying to erase it." Bill exhaled, pacing. The room suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier. He could still hear Katie's voice in his mind from earlier that day saying, "It's done. The results are clear. Will is not the father." She'd been too calm, too relieved. And Bridget had avoided his eyes, pretending to shuffle paperwork. He hadn't thought much of it then. He was too busy reeling from the implications. But now, hearing Luna say it out loud, his gut twisted. "Sit down," he said finally, his voice quieter, though the steel in it was unmistakable. Luna sank back into the couch, clutching her hands together. Bill sat across from her, elbows on his knees, his sharp blue eyes locked on hers. "You're saying Bridget faked the results. Why would she do that?" "Because Katie asked her to," Luna whispered. "Because they don't want Will to be connected to me. Because they think I'm some kind of problem to get rid of." Her words broke on a sob, and she bent forward, pressing her face into her hands. Bill's chest tightened. He wasn't the kind of man who handled crying well. Tears made him uncomfortable, but something about Luna's rawness cut through him. This wasn't manipulation. This was pain. He rubbed his jaw, mind racing. "Do you have proof?" Luna lifted her head, her eyes wild and shining. "No. Not yet. But I can feel it, Bill. I know what Bridget did. Please, you have to help me. Get another test done. Somewhere else, privately. Please. You know people. You can make this right. Bill leaned back silent. He'd always prided himself on being a man who saw through schemes and half-truths. But lately, ever since this whole mess with Luna started, he'd been questioning everyone, including himself. He'd seen the way Will looked at Luna. The awkward affection, the guilt, the confusion. The boy cared for her, maybe even loved her, though he'd never admit it out loud. And if there was even a chance that Luna was telling the truth, that Bridget had tampered with the results, then Bill couldn't just let it slide. I'll find out, Bill said at last, his voice steady. If Bridget changed those results, I'll know. And if Katie had anything to do with it. He didn't finish the sentence, but his tone made Luna look up. There was danger in his voice now, the kind that always came before a storm. Thank you, she whispered, her shoulders trembling with relief. Thank you, Bill. I knew you'd listen. Everyone else just looks at me like I'm crazy, but I know what happened. He nodded slightly, though his mind was already turning over a dozen questions. Why would Bridget risk her career for this? What exactly did Katie tell her? And if Will wasn't the father, as the report claimed, then who was? It didn't make sense. The timeline fit, and Luna had no reason to invent this. She wasn't after Will's money. She'd barely even been able to look at the kid after everything blew up. Hours later, after Luna had fallen asleep on the couch from sheer exhaustion, Bill stood by the window, talking quietly into his phone. Yeah, I want you to pull the security footage from Forrester's lab today. Every minute. And call in a favor with the hospital. Have their lab run a second DNA test on the same samples. No one needs to know about this. His voice was calm, deliberate. When he hung up, he turned to look at Luna again. She looked small, fragile, nothing like the sharp, confident designer who'd once turned heads at Forrester Creations. She was pale, her dark hair spilling over her face, her hands resting protectively over her stomach. Bill felt something tighten in his chest. He'd been a father long enough to recognize the desperation in her. Whether or not the baby was Will's, she didn't deserve to be humiliated or erased. Not like this. The next morning, chaos rippled through Forrester and Spencer publications like wildfire. Brooke cornered Ridge in his office, demanding to know if he'd heard about Luna accusing Bridget of lying. Ridge was livid, pacing. Bridget doesn't lie about medical results, Brooke. She's a doctor, for God's sake. Luna's losing it. But Brooke wasn't so sure. You didn't see Bridget's face when she left the lab, she said softly. She looked guilty. At the same time, Katie showed up at Bill's mansion unannounced, her tone clipped. I heard Luna's been here, she said the second she walked in. Please tell me you didn't fall for her story. Bill's eyes were cold. She told me something interesting, Katie. Said you asked Bridget to change the results. Katie froze, her breath catching. It was the slightest pause, but it was enough. Bill noticed. That's ridiculous, she said quickly. Bridget would never do something unethical. Wouldn't she? Bill shot back. For her family? For you? For Will? Katie's eyes filled with tears. Bill, she's just trying to manipulate you. That girl is dangerous. You saw what she did to Will. What I saw, Bill interrupted, his voice low and dangerous now, was a scared young woman begging for someone to tell the truth. I don't know what you and Bridget did, but I'm going to find out. And if you lied to me, Katie, he trailed off, but the warning was clear. Katie swallowed hard, blinking back tears. She didn't answer. Meanwhile, Bridget sat alone in her office, staring at the lab report on her desk. The real one. The one she hadn't printed. Her stomach twisted. She'd done what Katie asked. She'd altered the paternity data to make it look like Will wasn't the father. She told herself it was to protect the boy, to prevent another scandal from destroying their already fractured family. But now guilt was eating her alive. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Luna's face, the shock, the disbelief, the heartbreak. She could still hear Luna saying, "You're lying," before running out of the room. Bridget's hands trembled as she picked up her phone. She wanted to call Bill, to tell him everything, to fix it before it got worse, but she couldn't. Not yet. Not until she could figure out how to undo what she'd done without destroying everyone in the process. But Bill was already 2 steps ahead. That evening, he got the results from the private lab. He didn't say a word as he opened the envelope and read the single line that confirmed everything Luna had said. The child was Will's. He sat back, the weight of it hitting him like a punch to the gut. Bridget had lied. Katie had lied. And they'd tried to erase a part of his son's life before it even began. He looked up at Luna, who stood in the doorway, watching him with wide, hopeful eyes. He didn't need to say anything. She saw the truth on his face, and she started to cry. Bill crossed the room and caught her before she fell. "You were right," he said quietly. "It's Will's baby." Luna's sobs came in waves, relief, grief, exhaustion all tangled together. "Thank you," she whispered into his chest. "Thank you for believing me." But even as he held her, Bill's eyes hardened. "This isn't over," he said. "Not by a long shot." The storm that followed would shake Los Angeles to its core. Bridget's confession would break the Forrester family in ways no one saw coming. Katie's betrayal would destroy the fragile peace she'd built with Bill. And Will, still too young, still too caught between being a man and a son, would face the most brutal truth of all. That everyone he trusted had lied to protect him from the one thing he had a right to know. And through it all, Luna would stand in the middle of the wreckage, clutching her stomach, whispering to the child inside her that they were wanted, that they mattered, even if the world tried to erase them. Because for all the lies and power plays and DNA reports, this was no longer just a scandal. It was a fight for truth, for redemption, and for the chance to finally be seen. Not as a mistake, but as family. Bill Spencer stood in front of his living room window as the sun rose over Los Angeles, the light touching the skyline but not reaching him. The truth weighed heavy on him. He'd spent the night pacing between anger and disbelief. He kept replaying Bridget's calm expression in his mind, the way she'd delivered the false result, as if she were reading off a grocery list. He'd trusted her, everyone had. She was supposed to be the honest one, the rational Forrester. But now Bill realized even she could be twisted by family loyalty. Luna came downstairs slowly, holding a mug of tea that she hadn't even tasted. Her eyes were swollen, her face pale but steadier now. She'd slept in one of the guest rooms, though neither of them had really rested. "Did you tell Will?" she asked, her voice quiet. Bill shook his head. "Not yet. He's still at Katie's." Luna nodded, biting her lip. "He deserves to know." "I know," Bill said, turning to face her. "But he's just a kid. A smart one, but still a kid. He's not ready for this kind of betrayal, especially from his own mother." Luna sat on the edge of the sofa. "Bridget too. She's supposed to heal people, not destroy them." There was something in her tone, a quiet pain, almost pity. Bill noticed it. He didn't want her to pity Bridget. He wanted justice. He wanted answers. "I'm going to Forrester today," he said. "And I'm not leaving until I hear it from Bridget herself." "Bill, please," Luna said quickly, standing. Don't blow up. You'll make it worse. You have to let me talk to her first." He raised an eyebrow. "You? After what she did?" "I need to look her in the eye," Luna said. "I need to hear her say it. I need to understand why." Bill studied her for a moment. She wasn't trembling anymore. There was a strength in her now, something calm but burning deep. He nodded once. "Fine. But if she lies to you again, I'll handle it my way." At Forrester Creations, Bridget sat at her desk, staring at the computer screen without seeing it. Her inbox was full of messages from Ridge and Brooke, asking if she was okay, asking what happened after the test. She couldn't answer. She couldn't even breathe properly. The lie had been eating her alive. Every time she thought she could live with it, Luna's face came back to her, that look of shock, of betrayal. The door opened softly, and Luna stepped in. Bridget froze. "Luna." The two women stared at each other in silence for a long moment. Then Luna took a slow step forward. "You lied," she said quietly. Bridget closed her eyes, guilt flashing across her face. "Luna, please, you don't understand." "No, I do," Luna interrupted, her voice rising but not breaking. "You changed the results. You took something that was real and turned it into a lie, and you let me stand there while everyone looked at me like I was trash." "Why?" Bridget's hands trembled. "Because Katie asked me to. Because she thought she was protecting Will." "Protecting him from what?" Luna demanded. "From me? From the truth." Bridget looked down. "From a scandal. From being tied to a woman who's been through so much chaos already. Katie said Will wasn't ready, that this would destroy him. She begged me. And I thought I was doing the right thing. Luna laughed bitterly, though tears filled her eyes. The right thing? You took away my truth. You made me look like a liar. You made me doubt myself. Bridget's tears finally came. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix what you broke, Luna said, her voice trembling but fierce. You could have destroyed my life. The door opened again, this time with a harder push. Bill stepped in. Bridget turned, startled. Bill. Don't, he snapped. His voice cut through the air like glass shattering. I already know. The real test results came back last night. Bridget paled. Oh God. Yeah, Bill said, stepping closer, his tone low and controlled but lethal. You lied. You falsified medical records. You let everyone think Luna was a manipulative liar when the truth was sitting right there on your desk. Bridget's eyes filled with tears again. Bill, please, I didn't do it for me. I did it for Katie. Don't you dare blame her, Bill barked, though deep down he knew Katie's fingerprints were all over this. You made a choice, Bridget. You knew what you were doing. You're a doctor. You don't get to make moral edits to someone's DNA. Luna stood between them, her breathing ragged. Please stop. I don't want to see anyone else get hurt. I just want this fixed. I just want people to know the truth. Bill turned to her, his anger softening slightly. You'll get the truth. I promise. Then to Bridget, cold again. You'll go public with the correction today. You'll tell Forrester, you'll tell Katie, and you'll tell my son. And if you don't, I'll make sure every medical board in California knows what you did. Bridget covered her face, crying. I will. I'll fix it. I swear. But Luna's eyes stayed on her, sadness and pity mixing with the pain. You can't fix trust, she whispered. That afternoon, the news spread through Forrester like wildfire. Rich stormed into Bridget's office, demanding to know if it was true. Brooke, horrified, tried to calm him, but Bridget could only nod through her tears. I did it, she said. I changed the results. Ridge exploded. You've just destroyed your entire career. Do you even realize what you've done? Brooke's eyes were wet. Ridge, stop yelling. She already knows. Bridget's voice broke. I thought I was protecting our family. By lying. Ridge's voice was like thunder. That's not protection. That's betrayal. At the same time, Bill arrived at Katie's. The look on his face made her freeze. Bill, she whispered, setting down her coffee. You lied to me, he said. No yelling. No theatrics. Just those words, quiet and final. Katie's lips trembled. Bill, please. You had Bridget falsify the test, he continued. You made my son's life a lie before it even began. You think you were protecting him? You were protecting yourself. From scandal. From embarrassment. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Bill, I didn't want this to destroy him. What destroys him, Bill said, stepping closer, his voice sharp and trembling with emotion, is realizing his own mother didn't think he was strong enough to face the truth. You didn't protect him, Katie. You broke him. Katie sobbed, collapsing into the chair. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Yeah, Bill muttered, staring down at her. None of you ever do. He left without another word, slamming the door behind him. Back at the mansion, Luna sat alone again, this time feeling both vindicated and hollow. The truth was out, but it didn't fix anything. People still whispered. Some thought she'd exaggerated, others that she'd pushed Bridget to confess under pressure. Will hadn't come to see her. Not yet. Late that night, she sat in the nursery room she'd started setting up. Still just a few boxes and a bassinet by the window. She was talking softly, almost to herself, but also to the life inside her. We made it through, she whispered. No one can take your truth away again. There was a knock on the door. She turned. It was Will. He looked broken, pale, eyes rimmed with red. Is it true, he asked. Luna nodded, tears welling up instantly. Yes. He stepped forward slowly. I didn't know what to believe. Everyone kept telling me you were lying. Mom, Aunt Bridget. His voice cracked. And I believed them. Luna shook her head. You don't have to explain. I know they're your family. But I should have trusted you, Will whispered. I knew something didn't feel right. I just didn't want to admit it. She smiled faintly through tears. You know now. That's all that matters. He moved closer, hesitating, then reached out, placing his hand gently on her stomach. Hey, little one, he murmured, his voice breaking. I'm your dad. Luna covered his hand with hers, and for the first time in weeks, she felt something like peace. Outside, Bill stood silently in the hallway, unseen, watching his son take responsibility with a kind of quiet pride. Maybe, just maybe, something good could grow out of all the lies. But his expression hardened as he turned away. He wasn't done. Bridget and Katie had made a mockery of truth and trust, and the fallout was only beginning. Families would fracture. Friendships would burn. But at least now, finally, Luna and her child would not be erased.